It's your girl Fuller coming to you from Airin It Out on our weekly broadcast. I am superly excited right now because the speaker that we have today, the guest that we have today, the family that we have today, he's amazing. You guys, I meet with this guy like every morning. And like I tell you, he's amazing. That's all I can say. He's a funny guy. For you guys out there that like sports, he loves to talk about sports, and he has some good things to say about things that you can use these strategies to not only apply to your game, but to your life. All right. If you was your first time visiting with us here at Airin It Out, let me tell you that Airin It Out is a safe space that we have enriched conversation with different people that show up every day to make a difference. So you guys come on in and let's see. Make sure you guys got your pens and your papers because you know our guest will leave a nugget in a minute. So I want you guys to make sure you're getting your notes. So get your pen, your paper, your drink, whatever you want to do, and wherever you're watching this out, come on in and let me introduce to you Mr. Martin Greene, who is a communication leader specialist, and he's going to share us a lot of accolades that he's made himself. This guy's amazing. Take it over, Martin, and tell Airin It Out Nation who you are.
Oh, thank you so much, LaTanya, for inviting me. And thank you, all of you who are listening. I really appreciate your being here. And so just a little bit about me. And I think it starts with letting you know what my purpose is, why I feel I'm on this earth.
Yes,
and that is,
what is your purpose? Yeah, that's what we want to know, Martin. What did you bring?
Exactly. So my purpose is that I have an endless curiosity. And my purpose is to leverage that endless curiosity and love of sharing what I discover to inspire and support others for the greater good, to become a better version of themselves. Yes. And that's everything I do really is around that mission.
Yes.
And
yes, you rock.
Thank you. It's very
yes. I mean, I know my guests. I know all of them that are coming in and listening to this. They're going to be excited about that because we need to be the best version that we are supposed to be in life. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Exactly. And my background started out in education. I have a degree in education from the University of Maryland, right. And my first career was as an instrumental music teacher. So I taught kids from fourth grade all the way up through high school instrumental music, and it was so great when they had experiences of getting a standing ovation or even just having their parents clap for them. And they felt better about themselves, and kids who wouldn't come to school for any other reason but the lesson. There was one student who used to skip school every day except for the day he had his drum lesson. So
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. It was very, very fulfilling.
Music is so important. Like I love my music class. I don't know about you guys, but I was excited about my, and I'm still a very big fan of music. So Martin, we got to talk.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a very, obviously everybody's got their own way of enjoying that. And it's a very, very important part, right? It makes the world sing.
Yes. I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, from that career, I was, how do I put this, starting to raise a family. Okay. And it became financially unviable to stay as a teacher because after 10 years, even with a master's degree, I was making less than the students that I graduated were making to start in business. So I went into a different field because at some point, I loved it. But at some point I needed to be able to raise a family as well. So, right. But I didn't leave. But you can leave the teaching, but the teaching doesn't leave you, right? True. So I decided, So I decided to go in the world of business, and one of the first things I learned is I could sell a child to play the flute. I could sell them on the idea of playing the Beethoven's Fifth versus the rock song that they heard on the radio the other day. Okay. But when it came to selling something to make money, that was a little harder for me because I was more about the mission than the money. That's my code.
Yes.
And
yes.
And
We need
frankly,
more like that, though.
well, I know that, but the truth of the matter is, you can have the best idea, the best methodology in the world, but if you don't know how to, if you're not willing to share it with people and shout from the rooftops, if you're whispering in a cave, it doesn't really serve anybody. So I changed, right? I changed my way of looking at money and realized that that exchange of money is a compliment to the person who's giving it to me. So that changed things. But my first, before I reached that point, I was selling pianos. I mean, this is a fun story. I went to work because during the school year you make your money, and then you have to do something during the summer. Well, you can't just sit around, and so I went to work to selling pianos in a music store. Well, the very first day, this guy, the owner of this chain of stores, took me around in his car to the different stores, and he taught me about the piano I was going to sell. And he told me that it had 16 layers of the finest Sitka spruce, and that it was the best piano on the planet. And now the fact that I still remember that almost 50 years later tells you how ingrained that was in my brain, right? Right, exactly. So, and then he also taught me how to do all the what would then have been the very manipulative closes, like the Benjamin Franklin close, like the goods, the bads, the contract close, the assumption close. Still remember all those. But what he didn't teach me is how to look at the other person's map of the world and see what was important to them that would make them say yes versus say no. Mm-hmm. So in my way of doing things, I taught them all about the piano, and I taught them how great it was. And I played a little bit, but I mostly told them about how great the piano was and the features and the benefits. But some of those people didn't care. They were grandparents who just wanted to know how their kids were going to feel, their grandkids were going to feel when they played it. Right. But I didn't know that. And so I didn't sell very many pianos. I went home and I was working strictly on commission. And ultimately, I lost such a big sale that the owner of the store put me in the shopping mall where he had a little kiosk and just had me playing songs as people passed by. Well, I mean, that gave me a very empty feeling. And so I really kind of had a very negative attitude towards sales, whether I could do that or not. Yeah. And so what really motivates me now is to have people who are entering the business world not have to go through that, but to be able to walk a path that takes them where they want to go. Okay. Which, right, because in these days in time, we don't have time. We got to be on a plan and move forward, because we get stagnated if you get frustrated, which I'm glad you didn't get frustrated. You kept going. You know what I mean? Yes, exactly. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is that there is a way to succeed in sales, even if you have that nurturing method, because it's not really about us. It's really about the person on the other side of the table. Right. So, their happiness. Yes. Well, their happiness, and are they getting what they want out of this? Is it a win-win-win? Right. And so what I discovered is that the Harvard Business School says that the most important thing to have, other than raw intelligence, is emotional intelligence, which is called EQ. Okay. And that whether you're developing a new career or a business, emotional intelligence is actually the limiting factor on how successful you're going to be. Right. Because whether you're serving in a team, or whether you're the leader of a team, or whether you're selling something, emotional intelligence is how you deal with other people, and are you able to lead them to and persuade them, influence them to what you're trying to tell them. Even a child, right? Can you actually lead a child to ride the green bike instead of the blue one, right? So I mean, whatever it is, can you influence your children to eat their vegetables, right? Or what? All those things require emotional intelligence, right. The ability to first of all be very stable yourself and grounded, and be able to calibrate how the other person is seeing it and how they're absorbing information, so that they can hear your message. Okay. I mean, please elaborate a little more on that. I mean, sure. EQ. I like this. Yes. Yeah. So what I teach is a method by which people can, first of all, be grounded in that position. So, well, you were mentioning sports before, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about golf and tennis. Those are, and also dancing. It
Yes,
applies to dancing as well.
Please, you guys, please.
Right.
Martin is a great guy to give you great analogies to go with the information that he's going to be giving us. So make sure you're listening. You got your antennas on. You see, I took my device out so I can really, I want to hear you. We need to hear. We should have been listening already, but I need you to really be focused and pick up those pens, take notes. Go ahead, Martin.
Thanks, Latanya. So let's talk about golf for a minute. Every professional golfer, most professional golfers, go up to the ball with a very strong intention. They know exactly what they want to do. They know the target they want to hit. When you see them hitting the ball, 6 feet from the pin, from the hole, it's because they know how to do it. They've planned for that. They've practiced for that. But also, before they go to take the shot, they all step back from the ball. They decide what their target is. They're going to decide the kind of they visualize the kind of shot they're going to hit, and then they go up and they just swing. They don't think about it. They just do it. If you tennis players, tennis is chaos. You think about it. When you're up there ready to accept the serve, you're thinking about, okay, is this person going to serve a flat ball? Are they going to serve it with a spin? Right. Are they going to hit to my left, my right? They're thinking about all those things, right? But they're very balanced in doing that. And as soon as that ball is hit, they're taking what they call a split step, which allows them to be able to go left or right in an instant and be able to respond to the shot. And then it really begins, because every shot, when they hit the ball on the other side, they're looking to see, okay, is that person going to hit? Are they comfortable? Because if they are, they can hit a really strong shot back wherever they want to, and I better be ready for that. So they take a split step, they're balanced, and they're waiting to see what the shot is. And the idea is to make the other player so uncomfortable that they can rush the net and just put the ball away. But notice, it all started, both tennis and golf started with setting a frame for yourself to be able to be ready to accept the information you need to make the good shot.
Right. I like that framework.
If you ever watch Dancing with the Stars, they all have a frame. And if you've watched the movie Dirty Dancing, now that kind of ages me a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually
one
of
my
favorite
movies. In the movie Dirty Dancing, Jennifer Grey has never really danced before, and Patrick is trying to get her to do the frame correctly, and he takes her to a lake, and he puts her on a log and has her try to balance herself in the log, and she keeps falling off into the water, right?
Yeah.
And it isn't until she can stand on that log and dance, and then they start playing, "Hey, baby."
Yes.
I love that dancing, and it goes from there. So all of those three things require, number one, being balanced and in the correct frame to be able to absorb the information. Now, if you're talking about sales or leadership, you're setting that same frame for yourself where you know why you're there, you know what you're trying to accomplish with that conversation, and now you're able to calibrate the other person and say, where is this person coming from? What are their values? What's important to them? And how are they going to absorb this information? And now you're ready to really guide that conversation where you want it to go, which is a win-win-win for everybody, because ultimately what you have is what they need, right?
Right. Because that's the purpose of having that interaction.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Martin, like, what I mean, I know the money was a part of you going into this field and doing what you do, giving back. I'm going to say giving back, because what you do, it gives back to training. So, like, what brought you to that? What made you, where in your life that you said, you know what, I got to do something different? I know as far as the teaching, and then you had the piano thing, job. So, like, but what was that pivoting moment where you really knew that this is where you were going to be, to bring you to sit with us, to talk to us?
Well, that's a great question, Tanya. So while I was, at some point, I joined a group called Toastmasters International.
Okay. Yeah, Toastmasters is a great group. Yes. I just got an invite, as a matter of fact. Yes. I love Toastmasters.
It's an awesome organization. Well, part of being a Toastmaster is that they have contests every year, which give you the ability to improve your speaking skills. And that it is both prepared speaking and also be able to, for somebody to ask you a question and you come up with a 2-minute answer, formulate the answer and also deliver it for a group, and they judge you on that, right? So I was entering a contest during one of these. I had won my local contest in my local group. Now I was going to more of a regional contest, and what you do is you practice in more advanced groups, so you get more experience and stronger evaluation. So I went to this one group, and at this point, by the way, I was a John Maxwell trainer.
Okay.
So I decided I love John Maxwell because he's the guru of leaders. He's written 140 books on leadership, and I decided that one of my fellow Toastmasters convinced me, Marty, you really need to be a John Maxwell trainer. So I got certified as a John Maxwell trainer, and one of my favorite books of his is called "Everyone Communicates, But Few Connect."
All right, you guys take that down. It's a good book.
Everyone communicates, but few connects.
But few connects by John Maxwell.
John C. Maxwell. Yeah. What it tells you is that people talk to each other, but they really talking across each other. They're talking and cross reference. They're not really listening, and they're not really connecting.
Right.
And right. Well, so I'm preparing that for one of these contests, and one of the other contestants is doing a 5-minute speech on learning how to find out what other people value. And it was a methodology called BANK, which is an acronym for Blueprint, Action, Nurturing, Knowledge. And it basically allows you to assess what the other person's values are, so you can communicate in their language. Like you ever hear somebody say, "Oh, you're talking my language, right?"
Yes.
Right,
yes.
and that's what it is. You're making that connection. So I realized that BANK was the answer to that connection. And so I became certified as a bank trainer because I started investing more time into learning about that, how important it was to calibrate to the other person's values. And then all of a sudden, I was actually had a business at that point. It was a network marketing business. And at that point, I was closing about 45% of my sales. But after learning bank, I closed 98% of my sales because all of a sudden I was able to make that connection, right? So, I mean, we're talking about a case of 6 weeks. And so it really made a huge difference. And so I said, this is so great. I need to teach this. Again, leveraging my curiosity to inspire and support others, right? So, So between the John Maxwell and then I started, as a result, the person who trained me in bank also happened to be an NLP Grandmaster practitioner. She's second generation to the person who actually founded NLP. And so I said, well, I need to learn that as well. And so that is a methodology where you learn to calibrate on the other person by their what we call representational systems, which basically means do they listen more by hearing or see visual, or are they more kinesthetic, and a lot of other things. But it's another way to calibrate people and understand what makes people tick. So that was kind of that turning point where I said, okay, this is the point at which I say I've learned these skills, I've been certified in these skills. Now I've put together a program that can really get people from first of all knowing their purpose to fulfilling their purpose.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Excuse me, everyone.
Okay.
You guys, allergies are on me. So I do apologize. So I mean, I'm astounded that. So I actually thought you just did the program, but you actually was a trainer for John Maxwell.
Yes.
Excuse me. Oh my God, you guys. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And I studied directly with him.
So after joining in this, what do you get out of it? Like, I mean, what does it do for you to do what you do for people?
Well, okay, so here's an example. So I had one client, a husband and wife, who took my course. And before that, I mean, the wife was complaining that the husband couldn't look her in the face when he was talking, when she was talking to him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't feeling like she was really very happy because she wasn't really paying, because she got angry after their conversation. So they were still very happy together, but there were moments when she needed him to listen and to look her in the eye. He wasn't doing that. Well, after taking the course, now they are. That's yeah. So to be able another situation, and this is actually a pastor in Pakistan, was watch one of my webinars and didn't know he was a pastor. We were talking about a sales conversation, and he said, "Yeah, well, how is this relevant to me?" I said, "Well, you're a pastor. You must help the people in you must do counseling, right?" I said, "Yes." So, well, this would help you with your counseling. Well, that was the end of the conversation until 2 days later. He texts me and says, "Marty, I got to know more about this." I said, "Why?" And his name is Naveed.
Okay.
Said, "Why, Naveed? Why do you need to know about it?" He said, "Well, this past Sunday, one of my couple came up to me after my sermon, and they said, we're having trouble with our teenage son." Now they live in the capital of Pakistan, right? It can be a mean place to be. Well, their teenage son was out there all hours of the night messing around, and they felt like they needed him to be home. And so he, instead of just spending hours and hours counseling them, he cracked their code and figured out what was important. And he figured out that the child loved freedom and flexibility, and he didn't want to know about rules, where the parents they needed the stability of knowing that he was going to listen to their rules. Well, after that, he helped the child understand that the parents needed to know to be listened to, and the child needed a little more flexibility. They came back a week later and said, "Oh my God, we're getting along so much better because he's listening better, and the parents were more flexible with him." And all of a sudden, the relationship changed. So when these things come to you and you realize you've made an impact on people, you want more of that, right? It's a great feeling.
All right, I had to mute myself so I'm not on mic. Yeah.
Sure.
So I myself, I guess, explain to us a little more of how do we take these things and apply them to our everyday life? Like give us some insight that maybe we can use some of this to apply to our everyday life, so that they can see how important it is to have this skill set, in their life. Because like you just said, with a parent and with the kids, and also with the pastor. So all of these are critical roles that everybody have in their lives.
Oh, yes. So the answer, and the insight I would give is, first of all, know your own purpose in starting the conversation. Know where you want that conversation to go. But then the most important thing is understand that everybody has their own map of the world. How people can experience the same exact thing, but depending on their experience, their education, their upbringing, they can see the exact same thing in a very different way. And if you are empathetic enough to manage your own emotions and see the other person's map of the world and try to understand their map of the world, then you can have much easier conversations, and that what used to be the rough currents can become a lazy river.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I like that analogy. I like that analogy. And that's the main thing. One of the main things, because there's so many main things that we need to focus on, but our youth is making that ripple with them, So
yes.
It makes a big difference when it starts from, I'm quite sure you can look back in your childhood, because I know I can in mine, to look at things that now, knowing what I know, me and my parents maybe could have communicated differently, if that makes sense.
Yes, totally. Yes. My dad was very much a by the rules kind of guy. Uh-huh. He wasn't he was nurturing, but he had a very difficult childhood. And if you look through his map of the world, you could see why he was the way he was, but he was not a storyteller. There's so much of his life that I knew nothing about. I heard it through him telling stories to other people. So it was, I wish I had an opportunity again to talk to him, because now, by the way I understand him better is my sister and my brother are both exactly like him, and I have my mother's temperament. So it's yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, this doesn't work just in business. My children are very opposite also. My son is very he loves fast cars, he loves freedom and flexibility. And my daughter is, if you set an appointment with me, you better keep it. You better show up. And if you don't, you better have a good reason why. And I'm gonna be in your face if you're not keeping your word, right? So the two of them used to fight like cats and dogs because their personalities were so different. I didn't know how to separate them, but now I do. And so it makes having these skills is so helpful in just being able to navigate those rough times.
So can I ask you this? Yep. Would you say that we could apply this in our personal lives as well?
Oh yeah, like I said, the story with a couple, it's very much is applicable. It's applicable with your kids. It's applicable with your spouse. It's applicable. I mean, this literally. I can't say it saved my marriage because my marriage was in trouble, but it definitely made it way better.
Way better. Way better. And that's what we want is better. Is better. So can you give us, Martin, something that fast forwards us to right now, to who you are right now, and what energy you want to give out to the audience that we have right now that's going to help them and keep them and catapult them forward into where they want to go, their missions, or their purpose.
Sure. Okay. Well, the first thing is find your purpose. And the first thing I would do is I recommend a book called Success Principles by Jack Canfield, and read chapter 2. There's an exercise in there. If you don't know your purpose, that's how there's an exercise in there to help you find your purpose. Do that. Okay. And then the second thing is just every time you're having a conversation, just visualize yourself in a movie theater and you're watching a movie, and try to see the other person's map of the world. Try to ask the questions that help you understand where they're coming from, and that's going to make every conversation better.
Right. Yes, it does make it. I'm a testimony that it does make it a whole lot better, you guys. A whole lot better. So, Ahmed, can you just tell us a little bit about anything that you do, services that you offer, even though we're going to put his credentials, you guys, at the end of this video, but you tell them how they can get in touch with Martin and what Martin can offer, or do you offer classes? What do you offer? Talk to us about your Martin. Come on. We're excited to know this.
Thank you, Latanya. Okay. So first of all, the best way to reach me is I have a digital business card, and it's very simply martycard.me. So it's martycard.me. Okay. And there's a video that explains a little bit what I do and also offers my services. What I do is I actually have a monthly virtual training experience where I have 15 people, and we do a little bit of training on my mind blueprint, and then everybody practices it right there in a safe environment. And so that's one way. Yeah. Then I also offer group coaching. And then I have some, if people like to learn on their own, I have some tools that people can use for that, so that they can learn at their own pace. So depending on how you like to learn, we can help.
Sounds good. You guys, I'm already blessed. You guys got to bless yourself too and get in touch with Martin, because this guy's amazing. Come on, Martin, tell us more. There's
one more thing. I actually have a community called Top of Mind Community, where the members of the community all get training in different things. Everybody in that community is an expert in something, so everybody gets a chance to share their expertise. And then we also do John Maxwell training in there, and we do videos and members. It's a subscription. The members can have access to all of the training, and all the other expert things. So you have the community, you have the experiences, and you have the courses. There's lots of ways. Just contact me and we'll figure out what makes sense.
All right, you guys. So we have an open invitation to contact Mr. Martin. He's going to make sure we get ourselves back to where we need to be. Because a lot of us are saying we want to go back to the old person, and there's no room back there. There's no room for you. There's no room for me. There's room for us in our now and our future. So we are getting the tools that we need to be able to go into this with a bang, you guys, being the best you that you can be. That's what we're here for. That's what Mr. Martin was here for us today. So all of you that joined us, make sure you be a dear and subscribe for one, two, like, share, and do what? Share it to everybody that you can, because you never know who you're being a blessing to. All right, you guys? So you know that we love you. Here at Airin It Out, there's nothing you can do about that, but God loves you even more. Martin loves you. So you guys, be awesome, be productive, and we'll see you the next time here on Airin It Out. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Martin, for coming with us. You were amazing. We know you're coming back again, right?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
We
Thank
got
you so much for
back
inviting me.
again, you guys. So you said it to the Airin It Out Nation. So, Mr. Martin, we expect to see you back here at Airin It Out. All right, you guys, be awesome until the next time.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Thank you.
Bye, you guys.